All right, good morning, evening, afternoon, everyone. TGT Media is an entertainment interest. Let me start that again. I haven't been doing this show for 5 years or anything like that. You figure I know my own introduction.
No, I think it's probably very natural.
Yeah. Good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone. TGT Media is an entertainment industry interview show where we interview the creative people from the comic, film, TV, movie, and video game industries. And of course, I'm your host, Kurt Sasso. We are on episode 330 right now, which is amazing. Yeah, I know. Well, technically it's probably in the 600 range, but I didn't calculate all of the fan interviews I did at conventions. But we're joined today by a very talented comic creator all the way from, it's Sweden, right?
Yes.
Yes. Wonderful Sweden. I'll avoid the Viking type accent that I have. from a native of New Jersey, no doubt, of course. And she's been on the show before. Of course, we are joined today by Irma Eriksson from Imy Comic. How are you doing today, Irma?
I'm good. Yeah.
This is the first time I've seen you face to face, other than your Facebooks and all that stuff.
I know. Thank you for Skype.
It's amazing. I love it. It's wonderful. Who needs Ustream and all those other live active channels for video chat? Thanks for coming back on. It's been a couple of years, actually, I think, since you were last on the show. And, you're back here because congratulations on book 4 of Imy being fully funded on Indiegogo.
Thank you. Yeah. That went much better than I expected it to. Much better. When I went in to start the Indiegogo campaign, I really wasn't sure, how much to ask people for. I was trying to base it on how many people usually buy the books and that sort of thing, and also what I would be needing for New York Comic Con, and so that was really hard to decide what I was going to ask for. And it turns out that I decided on 500 because that was the minimum at Indiegogo, and I've made it in a day. so it was a little more successful than I thought. So my campaign was going to run for something like 3 weeks. So I had a lot of stretch goals to start to plan and just to keep pushing, see what else I could get. And so. Yeah.
The power of underestimating your comic, your readers.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I thought I was going to do pre-orders first, and then I thought, well, why don't I go through Indiegogo instead, or Kickstarter or something, and maybe that gets more attention, and maybe it gets more people to, kind of pushes people more to jump in and buy something, and I think maybe that's what it did. And also because instead of a pre-order with an Indiegogo, I could offer more things. So prints and sketch cards and other things that normally I wouldn't offer with just book pre-order. So it went very well. So.
Well, I can't wait for my book, so I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, you'll be getting it when I get back from my trip. So, sorry.
Speaking of a globe-traveling person that you are, New York City Comic Con is on tap. Sorry, I just have to work on that. So pop-up message, stupid things.
Okay.
New York City Comic Con, it's one of those conventions I'd love to go. I know you try to get to it at least every year that you can. What is it about that convention besides, seeing some awesome people like, Tom Racine and Byron and Don and all those wonderful people?
It's close to my mom. So that's how I got into actually going to New York Comic Con, because the first year the first year that I went back in 2010, I decided, well, if I go, I have to visit my mom anyway at some point that year, and I thought maybe if I could pair it, go at the same time as New York Comic Con, then I can go to New York Comic Con and actually be there, and then it's not so much more extra money. Instead of just flying to New York on my own just to go to New York Comic Con. That would be, almost kind of a little too crazy with the amount of money it costs for plane tickets and stuff. So, and then that first year I met all these great people that you talked about. I met Tom Racine, and I met Mike Whitmer, and I met Dawn Griffin and so many artists, Mark LaPierre, that I've had contact with online already for a while, and it was so cool. And so then it just became the thing to do that every year. And it was a lot of fun. I mean, it's a huge con. It's not San Diego Comic Con, but it's, I think, the second biggest one. And it's completely crazy, but I love the craziness. It's huge and crazy, and especially since I get to stand behind a table and I don't actually have to be in the crowds of people. And it's fun. It doesn't stop when you're there. It's just constant, and it's just a lot of fun. I like it.
Well, what about the conventions in Sweden, or are there conventions?
Well, we have in Stockholm. We have they're calling it Stockholm Seriemessa, which means or no wait, what did they call it? Hold on. Stockholm's Internationella Serie Festivalen. That's what it is. And what that means, it's the International Comics Festival that they have in Stockholm every year. And that one is small. And I'm really bad with numbers. I'm really bad with numbers, so I can't even tell you how many people exhibit and how many people visit. I can't picture it in my brain. But I can just tell you that it's in the Culture House in the center of Stockholm, Kulturhuset. And it's a weekend, a Saturday and Sunday. And there's one large room where they have a lot of tables. And then they have kind of an upstairs room where maybe there's, I don't know, maybe 40 more tables or something. And so it's not big at all, and it's free entry for anybody who wants to come. And but it's a very different scene from New York Comic Con. I mean, this is a small festival for independent artists only. It's not for anyone big, and it's not for big publishers. Some publishers are there, but smaller ones. And it's a lot of more alternative comics and things like that. So it's a very different kind of thing. And then we have Bokmässan in Gothenburg, which is the book convention, I guess. Book convention. And that one happens in August every year, or September every year. And I haven't been to that one yet. And that one is more just for books. But I've heard that on Sundays it can be for more of the bigger, more known comic artists in Sweden. But I haven't been to that one yet. And that's pretty much all we have, besides some really, really small comic gatherings here and there around the country.
Definitely. So, Irma, or Imy...
Oh, you're not the only one. No, everybody does that.
So Imy Book 4, tell us what's in that particular book, from what strip to what strip?
Well, it's from 301 to 405. I usually try to do 100 in each book, but the thing is, I wasn't thinking when I was actually making the comics, and I did a storyline that went over the 400 mark, so I couldn't just cut it off. I had to conclude the rest of the storyline. So it's from 301 to 405, and it has also an extra exclusive story that I only put in the book. I try to do that for every book that I put out, because, I mean, every one of my strips is available online to be read, so I have to give the buyer of something a little extra. And then I also have art from my cartoonist friends in the book as well. So every year I do that for my book. I ask a bunch of people to submit some Imy art and the theme that has to do with the book of that time. And this year's theme is space. And so I got a bunch of really cool stuff, and so that's in there as well.
Awesome. I always love the fact that, when you read Imy, it doesn't matter where you start, you still have fun just going through with the characters themselves and the antics, and you learn something along the way. I love your introspective as Imy's staring into the stars or something along that line. It's something you don't see in comics these days.
Well, Imy is not based on me, but I do take things from my life and my interests and kind of pass them on to her, and that's one of the things. Anyone who knows me, they know how much I love space and the stars and all that stuff, and so I like to kind of fit that into the comic. And I think that those comics that I do, those strips that I do, where she's usually staring into space and says something to say about it or whatever, that's not necessarily a funny ha 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 strip, but it's still, I think, something people like, and it makes them smile and maybe shows that she has some depth. I hope.
Not just a coffee crazed.
Right. Yeah, she has some depth. She might be a little childish at times, but she has depth.
So this is your 4th year going to New York City Comic Con, or 3rd year?
No, it's my 4th year. That's crazy, but yeah, it's my 4th year.
It's amazing. I was recently at Fan Expo Canada, and just the craziness of that is apparently it's the 3rd largest in North America. So San Diego is 1st, New York is 2nd, Fan Expo is 3rd.
I had no idea that would be the 3rd one, but yeah, okay, I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
And it was just the craziness of it all, between the celebrities and the comic people. There still seems to be a divide as to what the readers and the fans go towards. I mean, especially when it was split into 2 buildings. But when you see New York City Comic Con, just from your own personal experiences, I mean, do you find that it's more comic centric, or is it still the mass media conglomerate type thing?
Well, I mean, it's funny because you say about, sort of a divide in that you've seen, and in New York Comic Con, it's pretty much very literally divided because we are where I'm going to be in Artist Alley, we are in a completely separate section of the whole con. And, I think it's very media centric. When you walk in the front door and you walk up the stairs, you're just hit by the screens, with games and movies and all those things. And the artists are kind of spread out around the perimeter of the con. So there's rooms kind of to the side here and there where the artists are. And I would say, though, that I haven't been to San Diego Comic-Con, but I've heard that one is pretty much just sort of pushed artists out, and it's not about that anymore. It's really about the movies and TV and games. It's not about artists anymore. But I have to give credit to New York Comic-Con because they've done a really good job of, so far, keeping the artists in it. I said we're in a separate room, but I think it's actually helped us. That last year was the first year that I think they did that, and it's been it was really good because we're away from all the loud music and all of the loud everything that's just crazy, and everyone who comes to us actually wants to be there. They actually want to see the artists. They want to see what they're drawing, what they're selling, want to have them draw stuff for them. And then you have a bunch of people who just come to us to escape the craziness of the other room. And then they maybe hopefully find something that they like. And so, I mean, we still have a pretty good presence there. It's just kind of pushed to the side. Like, oh, by the way, artists over here. Yeah.
Yeah, we sort of have comic people somewhere in here. They're not quite swept under the rug, but they're sort of around.
Yeah, I mean, in the main room, they do have the big, Marvel and DC booths, and I know that this year, Dawn Griffin and Byron Wilkins, they're going to be having a booth in the main room, so I mean, they exist in there, but I think it's a little overshadowed, and so people need to leave that main area and find where all of us are just sitting and smiling and hoping, please come buy our stuff. We spent a lot of money on these tables. Please buy our stuff.
Do you have a lot of Imy fans in New York?
I have a few. Actually, a bunch of people I went to school with, I guess, started reading my comic online, and they've come to buy my stuff at New York Comic Con. But yeah, no, I do have some fans around there, and who do stop by, and some of them tell me they're going to come, and some of them don't. And those are the best, actually, because when they just sort of pop up at my table and go, "Oh my God, I've been looking all over for this table. I read this comic," and that's probably the best part when I'm there, is when that happens.
I also see that you're doing the, apparently this is new to me at least, the Inktober aspect.
Oh, yeah, I just did one. Yeah, the Inktober, I hadn't heard of it either, but apparently it's been going on for several years, and it's just this very cool thing where artists are supposed to just draw something with ink, and anything, doesn't matter, anything at all, and just throw it online and tag it with Inktober and do one a day for the whole month of October. I just have not had the time. And last night I finally just got a little sketch card out and drew a silly little thing and put it up there. And it's fun. It's fun to see what people come up with. I'm going to try to do one tonight, if I have the time. Yes, I'm going to. Not if, I will. And I'll continue. But, I mean, everything is going to be so crazy this week. I'm flying to New York. Then we have the con. I don't think I'll be able to keep up with it. I'm amazed at the people who can.
Yeah, there's some pretty interesting stuff out there in the community, for sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. A lot of really great stuff, and it's amazing how quickly they can just throw that stuff up there. A lot of them are amazing.
Is there any particular comic artist that primarily used ink that you remember or follow?
You mean in this Inktober thing, or just in general?
In general.
It's really hard to answer because I feel like it's everybody. I feel like I'm one of the only digitals. I know I'm not the only digital cartoonist, and I know several people, but I feel like I'm always, like, most people are just still using ink. Oh, you know who's really good at ink? And I can never pronounce his last name, Norm Futi. He was in Tall Tale Features with me, but I've never actually learned how to pronounce his last name. And he does the syndicated strip Gil, and that he is amazing with ink. It looks digital because it's so smooth, but it's ink, and I'm just in awe that he can do what he does with ink. And another one would be Brian Anderson of Dog Eat Dog. Yeah. He's also incredible with what he can do with ink. And Mark Lapierre. Yeah. He's too good for his own good. Yeah. I could go on. The list could just go on and on. But those are the ones that sort of pop off the top of my head.
Well, I wanted to ask you a couple more questions here, just because it's, you're always an interesting person to talk to, and I always love what you have online and all that stuff too. As part of the documentary I'm putting together here about how creative people handle success and failure, let's get into these questions. Usually everyone has one person that kind of set them on their path to where they are now in their career. Who's that for you?
Well, that would actually have to be Tom Racine, my friend. Tom Racine. He's been a huge part in getting me kind of going and inspired and to keep going and to every time I feel like I can't really go any further, he's always there to help me. He draws himself, he doesn't have a comic out now. He's working on one though. But he's there for artists all the time, for whoever needs help from him, and he's always been my go-to. He helps me with Imy when I'm stuck, and he helps me with absolutely everything else, and he keeps pushing me, and I don't think I would be where I am without his help and his support.
Do you consider yourself successful?
I don't know how to answer that. Let's see. That's a really good question. I'm gonna say no. I don't. Not. Not yet. And I know that success doesn't necessarily mean money because I'm not making any of that yet. But no, I don't know. I don't feel that yet. I feel like, no, I don't feel it yet.
Have you not reached goals in your life?
Yeah, I've reached goals, sure. But I don't feel like, I don't know. I feel like, I guess it's really relative to people, what successful means to them. And for me, I think what it means is, I don't know, maybe making some money would be good. But I think the other thing for me with success is, I don't know, I feel like, as with Imy, because that's the one thing I've been working on now for almost 6 years and putting it out there. I don't feel like it's got enough speed to keep it, to keep going, like, without me pushing it. I don't know how to really explain what I'm trying to say, but I don't know, like, if I feel that I'm successful enough with Imy that if I were to stop writing the strip tomorrow, if people would go, where did it go? Or if it would be just crickets, like, huh? What? 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 Imy? Oh, yeah, I read that a couple of times. Like, I don't know. I don't feel like I really, I don't know, feel like I don't know. Oh, gosh, this is hard to answer. I'm going to say no, I don't feel successful. But yes, I've made goals, and I'm just going to continue to do that. I'm going to just continue to keep going for goals and just see what happens.
How do you deal with your failures?
Oh, well, other than cry, no. Well, I guess I deal with them okay. I think it's it's a process. I think the first part of the process is the self-loathing that I have to get through when something doesn't work out, and I feel like, oh, what am I doing? Oh, I'm way in over my head, and no one reads my comic, and this, I shouldn't be doing this. I'm not as good as maybe I think or whatever. But then it's just you just keep going and move on to something else. Just try something new. Keep pushing.
The younger generation are going to be reading Imy. They're going to go to the convention that you're going to be at. They look to you as an inspirational person. But how can they inspire themselves or the next generation?
Oh, man. Well, I think about my niece, who is 13. And I visit her once a year. I'll be seeing her again in just a few weeks, and she's a lot of fun because she thinks I'm really cool. Because she loves that I draw my own comic and that I can draw things for her, and it doesn't matter that how good or not that great I am at drawing to her. She really loves it, and that's what matters, and it makes me feel like king of the world. I would say, I would just say what I say to her, and that's just to draw, because she wants to get into drawing too, and she's been doing it right now. It's a lot of My Little Ponies, but doesn't matter. Just draw what you want, and that's what she does. She draws that. She likes the whole furries thing, and she draws that too, and I just tell her to just draw and draw whatever she wants and draw what she loves, and just as long as she enjoys what she's doing. And I think that she does that, she can inspire her friends to do the same because they draw as well. And I just want her to keep drawing and stay drawing and enjoy that, and don't move on to bad things. Just draw.
Maybe she'll have a comic that rivals Imy someday.
That would be great. I would love that.
Awesome. Trying to think, is there anything that I haven't touched upon, like that you'd love for your readers and those watching this or listening to this to know about?
Well, no, I mean, I guess I could just, for people who know my comic, and they know also that I have a second comic that I barely do any work on right now, and it's called Cosmical. I don't know if you know about that one. Yeah. I've only done something like 15 strips for that one, and I started it last year. I just want people to know that I haven't forgotten it. It's not that I've forgotten it. It's not that I've gone, oh yeah, that one, I don't want to do it. It's not like that at all. I just don't have the time. It's one of those things that I started, and this is something that we talked about Tom Racine, that he sort of gets on me about, because I draw something and I want to put it online right away. And it doesn't matter what it is. I just want to put it online. I want people to see it, and I want to put it online. I think a lot of people are like that, but he says, you really should just try to plan a little bit before and keep things for a while. But I have this thing in my head that if I don't put it online, someone else is going to come up with exactly the same idea at the exact same moment as me. They're going to do it before me. So that's why I just want to throw it up there. So I started this comic Cosmical last year, and I've done only, like I said, like 15 strips. And it's for anyone who doesn't know, it's which I'm sure is most of you. It's just a comic about the planets. I talked about that I love space, and I do. I really love space. And so it's a comic with the planets, and the planets, they speak and to each other, they interact, and it's hopefully funny, but it's also supposed to be educational. So I have some goals for that, and it's with my work, it's usually all very kid-friendly and family-friendly, and Cosmical is very much down that alley, and I really have a goal for it that I want it to be something more for children, that that they can read a comic and learn a little something about our solar system or the universe or space, or it's just I'm planning for it. I really gotta work on it, and it's there's more coming. There's more coming. Right now I don't have a job. I lost my job, so I have a lot of more time to work on this stuff. And so it's just expect more Cosmical. There will be more Cosmical coming, and I have millions of other ideas floating around in my head for other things, but it's the whole time thing, which
blasted time.
I think we all complain about.
Yeah. And I feel for you about the wanting to put something up right away and everything like that. It's hard with interviews as well. Like, I still have day one of Fan Expo Canada. I haven't even exported yet. And it's just like,
yeah. Yeah.
But it is what it is. I'll get to it when I get to it.
Yeah.
Irma, I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to do this. It's been a pleasure as always, and we have to do this more often.
I know. I'm here. Just ask. I'm really, anytime. I don't mind it. I can just talk and talk and talk and talk. As long as I don't bore your listeners.
No. They're here for you, not me. No one listens to me, so it's all right. I'm used to it by now. That's okay. And of course, you can see all of your work at? A few sites. ImyComic.com. And that's spelled IMY comic.com. And that's my main comic that I've been doing for almost 6 years, and I have 400 or almost 500 strips done and published online with that. And then there's Cosmical, which is cosmicalcomic.com. And then for all my other work, you can go to my illustration website, which is illoluv.com, and I will spell that one. ILLOLUV.com. And that's just my portfolio with other work. And just go to all those sites and see all the pretty colors, because everything's very colorful. And hope that people enjoy what I'm putting up there. Well, we definitely do, and it's a pleasure having you on. And being a new artist myself, as if I can call myself an artist, I love seeing everyone's work. So,
thank you. And yeah, you are. I've been seeing the stuff that you've been putting up. From your classes that you've been taking, right?
Yeah, it's I'm learning ink myself right now, and it's difficult. It's
Yeah.
the hatching, the line work is especially like, oh god. I figured
Yeah.
if I took characters like Richard the Warlock and McPedro from Girls with Slingshots and Boaro from Slightly Damned, I'll be able to draw them. Maybe.
Oh, it's just practice. You're already further than me because I never took any classes like that. So, and most of my stuff is digital. So when I go to paper and start to do stuff, I go a little like, I get a little nervous and I have a bit stage fright with paper. But it's just practice. That's all it is.
I can't get this circle right. Why isn't it going perfectly?
Oh, circles, forget about it. No, circles I'll never get.
All right. I just say, so that ends episode 330 with Irma Eriksson from imycomic.com. As PD is, preaching over there, that little shit. We're gonna have more amazing, talented people coming up in October, which is usually horror month, but it's more like a comedy type month here. And we're gonna have this Saturday, as my calendar loads up. Come on, there we go. We're gonna have Teenage Love Zombies on the show. That's a fun comic there. No, I'm sorry, we're gonna have them on Sunday. One of those days. And among that, we'll have other creative people that I have scheduled that I can't find on my calendar. So, tune in for another wonderful episode and look back on, of course, all of our past episodes. Of course, you can find them on iTunes. Search for TGT Media. You can listen to all these episodes and more that isn't listed. You can also see the video interviews from this show as well as past interviews from Fan Expo, C2E2, and Kids Read Comic at youtube.com/TGT Media. And you can always email me, Kurt@tgtmedia.com, and that's Kurt with a K. If you spell it with a C, I don't know where it's going to go. So I hope everyone has a wonderful day, evening, and weekend, and thanks everyone for watching.